We're on the air now.
We are live.
We are live.
I failed to put up the test pattern, but live from Plutopia Towers. This is the Plutopia News Network with our usual suspects, the corporate mystic, formerly Screamish Joy.
I'm rebranding.
Susie Sheeler. And our guest tonight, Professor Roy Casagranda.
The crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes wild. Wow.
And now we got to figure out what we can talk about. My whole script is out the door.
Well, we can talk about, I would kind of like to talk about Mike Johnson.
I was just going to say, I want to know why Mike Johnson wants to protect tax cheats.
Why is he so poor? That's what I want to know. I want to know why he has an income. He has some kind of purported income of $50,000 a year or some bullshit. And he's living check to check, but he has like his net worth or something is different from that. Like,
no, interesting.
Yeah. Like what? Come on, man. That can't be. There's something that doesn't smell right there. I don't think. And
it's the United States.
And he's a
when was the last time you met
a
politician that wasn't dirty?
I'm like, isn't that just accounting?
Oh, his net worth is a negative number.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's negative $32,501.
I see that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, he's probably a really good businessman.
Yeah, it sounds like
and a philanthropist. I mean,
yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need is a businessman in the Oval Office, I think.
I mean, nobody knows anything about him, so who knows?
Exactly.
What were you going to say, Roy?
I mean, this is what we do. We keep electing these amazing businessmen, like Junior and Trump, and look at the world. The world is so much better off now.
What is up with George Santos? Colin Allred voted to fucking keep Santos in the House.
Yeah.
Why? Is this some grand plan that these Democrats have to like say, you elected him, you fucking keep him? Is this what's happening?
I bet you're right.
The official statement was they wanted the process to work its way through and see if he gets like a conviction. And then the ethics committee needed to finish its project. But
basically they didn't want to be guilty of pre-convicting him.
Yeah, exactly.
That was their statement, as opposed to just kicking him out because he's like a lunatic or he can't talk ever without a giant piece of gum in his mouth. Like there's so many reasons, but
dude, there's always an elevator right there too. Always an elevator. He's like, and there's just there's an elevator and gone. That's really, it. And then
that's his office.
At his office, there's a big sign that
says, works in an elevator.
Yes, we're open. And he just shuts the door on everybody.
Yes, we're open.
My favorite thing. He's a horrible person.
I mean, just because he lied about literally everything, including the fact that he's an Auschwitz survivor.
Oh.
So am I.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
I guess it wasn't he didn't lie about him being an Auschwitz survivor. He lied about his family having gone through. But
he's something. And then it just goes on.
So I guess we can't talk about why we can't talk about what we can't talk about. Is that right?
We can talk about free speech and why we should go ahead and have it in this country. That'd be neat.
Okay, let's discuss that. I like that.
Here's what I think. Let's say that you disagree with the person for whatever reason. You could listen to them and hear them out just because you might get a new insight that would inform you.
Yeah.
Why maybe we should listen to each other. And isn't it entirely possible you're just wrong? Because here at the end of the day, let's think about it. The smartest person on earth doesn't have enough information to be certain about anything. The more you learn, the less certain you become. So isn't it entirely possible that you, with your 6th grade education, just don't know enough to
Yeah,
have
I
an
think if you're going
opinion.
to bring logic into this conversation, we're not going to get very far. Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And no, that's
Well,
been
I
my
mean, it
experience.
sounds to me like so you're kind of with the right, right? The far right really wants everybody to have free speech, right? That's what they keep telling us.
Yes,
Yeah,
but only when
that's why
it
I get censored.
is. Yes, exactly.
So you
Yeah.
have been censored, but we're not going to talk about that, right?
Not gonna
You
talk-
have been canceled, but we're not going to say who canceled you or why.
Yeah,
That's
does that
really,
mean I've
really
been canceled?
But you're not
No,
canceled.
I don't think he's been
Well,
canceled. No,
cancel has a very broad definition in this country.
Yeah.
Like if you criticize somebody,
Wow.
if a group of people criticize, say, a professor, then they'll show up on the fire database as a cancellation. The fact that they were criticized, if they like ask for the professor's dismissal, even if the professor was not dismissed.
Oh,
So
interesting.
you actually have people who are tracking cancel culture, and I'm a little suspicious of them. And there's this organization, it's called FIRE, which stands for, what does it stand for? They changed what it stands for. Anyway, Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. And they have apparently been.
sounds like doublespeak.
Sounds like the first one.
I think
Yeah,
that in the
right.
beginning they were very concerned
They
about
said that the
all of
first one.
these woke people in universities who were canceling right-wing people who like were scheduled to speak and suddenly they weren't scheduled anymore, that kind of thing.
Like when
Interesting.
A&M wouldn't let Peterson or whoever Jordan, I think it was Jordan
Spencer.
Peterson. I
Yeah,
can't
which is
remember.
of course because the left is intolerant of the right and they don't want the right to be able to have free speech in order to lie.
I was actually at an event in 2018, and it was billed as like a bridge building event where we're going to bring people from the left and the right to get together to have a conversation. And the organization that did this was like sort of a nonpartisan group, and they invited, I think there was, it was 4 of us, and there was supposed to be 2 on the left, 2 on the right, with the idea that we would have this polite conversation about free speech. And one of the people on the right decided to bail. And so it ended up being 2 on the left and 1 on the right. And the one on the right, the poor guy, was just some random attorney, but the 2 on the left were both scholars. And so it was like, oh my God, this is going to be a massacre. And it quickly went away from freedom of speech. That was not the conversation. The conversation became, I'm a white man and everybody's trying to censor me. And I had to turn to him at some point and I said, no, nobody's censoring you. You're not important enough for somebody to want to shut you up. What's happened is you now have to share the stage with brown people, black people, and women and everything else that's out there. And you're just not used to it. We're asking you to be quiet just long enough that other voices can jump in. And that did not go over.
So that's what cancellation means. You have
really
to share the
threatening.
stage.
Well,
I
if they want to preemptively censor themselves, have at it. They're already jumping down the fascism hole anyway, right?
I mean, one of his arguments was he's offended because he can't say the N-word anymore. And I was like, oh God, there's nowhere to go.
God. What is
when
did he think it was okay to say before?
I don't know. Wow, this was 2018, which might as well have been another century ago.
That is unreal. But I do know I've had those conversations with people.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange place. And what I don't understand though, so, like I am a free speech person. I do think we should have conversations that are uncomfortable. And mostly because I think in the United States, people have tunnel vision and they just focus in on, and the social media that they listen to just keeps reinforcing their ideas. And nobody's that smart. There's nobody on the planet who is capable of knowing enough that they should not have to listen to somebody else. And so I'm constantly annoyed. For the record, I've been censored 5 times now. And so I've actually been censored 6 times, but 5 times it violated my First Amendment rights.
Whoa.
So The sixth time was by a private business. The First Amendment doesn't protect you from private businesses.
It's true.
Interesting.
They're private.
Yeah, it just protects you from government employees like me. Like I can't censor my students, and I never would because I want to hear what they have to say. Like I want the conversation.
YouTube has this algorithm that pulls out words and they will demonetize people for using certain words. So they've come up with this shorthand, and I cannot, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about. They R-worded her, they essayed her, you know, and I'm like, what is happening? And it means rape or sexual assault. I mean, they just changed, the whole language has changed on YouTube because they want to make money on these videos. And so they're omitting or completely changing words. I can't, what was it? The insurrection. They weren't calling it that. They were calling it the transformation or something because YouTube wasn't allowing him to say insurrection.
Yeah, and you see that a lot of time even on lots of social media where they've made up new words with, you know, symbols and spellings that can't be picked up so that they can say, you know, even words like COVID or, you know, I mean, like any like words that just get picked up by the algorithms and shut down their sites or whatever. And, you know, and some of the words that come up to me, I mean, I know what you're saying. It's like, I'm just like, really? Like, that's a word that is, you know, a problem? So it's
suck. What are you going to do? That's a word. I use it. So what?
It is crazy.
A few years ago, a politician said something that reminded me of a Hitler quote. So I went and found the Hitler quote and posted it on Facebook, and I got banned for a month.
Oh, no.
Even though the politician said.
I mean, I thought everybody would go, oh my God, I know what that is. But no,
what was the quote?
Facebook was, I don't even remember.
Did you see
that?
I
could scroll through my Facebook.
They're quite crafty at quoting, you know, some of our greatest dictators and really weaving their language in. And so that happens more frequently than it should.
There was an old grandmother in Germany, and she was like, it was her 104th birthday, and it was on TikTok the other day, and she raised her glass up and said, Heil Hitler.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just like a few days ago. That's fun.
You know, this makes me think of a question I definitely wanted to ask all of you tonight. And there's like, how is it that suddenly this sort of vile anti-Semitism is exploding?
Yeah.
Anti-Semitism and also Islamophobia, but it's like, I mean, there's something about that, the stuff that's happening in the Middle East, which we won't talk about. We won't get into that. But here in this country, we have a lot of people who are responding. I mean, I didn't realize there was that much I assumed anti-Semitism was a thing of the past.
No, I don't think so.
No. And I think racism and bigotry in and of itself are just, they're very blended. I mean, I'm sure bigots have their preferences or whatever, but they're pretty whole opportunity type people. And I feel like things like just raise the opportunity for them to express. And they feel like they have permission. They feel like they have the ability, to your point of free speech, the misunderstanding of our, of our, God, sorry, my brain's like fried, of our amendments, the misunderstanding of our amendments, one through many, and how they've been interpreted. I mean, I think that free speech can, I'm a big believer of free speech and still believe in responsibility and consequences. And so,
exactly. That's what I think people keep saying, that it's cancel culture. It's not, it's consequence culture. That's what it is.
Well, it's not a culture. That's my big argument is that, there's a guy that talks about this a lot on the online community I'm part of. And we've been having an ongoing argument where I'm basically, he talks about this is a new thing. It's a new ideology. It's something that's happening on the left. He says there's bad things happening on the right, but this is something that's happening on the left. And using terms like cancel culture and woke. And I'm saying, number one, this is not new.
No.
Number two,
No.
it's not really a culture, and I don't think it's an ideology either.
Oh, it's
But
people.
apparently, something is happening on college and university campuses,
That's different.
and I'm not sure I understand exactly because I haven't been in. I mean, well, you're teaching, Roy. Do you encounter this at ACC?
No, I've never seen anything where it was like a professor being blocked by students. I've definitely seen students get upset over things. Like I had a student come to my office during office hours. She was a Jewish student, and this is relevant, that her religion is relevant. She was in class taking a history class, and the professor got to the part about World War II and got to and never once mentioned the Holocaust. And she came to me and she burst into tears and said, "Am I wrong for being upset?" And I was like, "No, I don't know."
That's me.
I mean, I feel like at least 30 minutes or something in that 6-week period to just at least.
Oh my God. I don't even understand how you have that
I mean,
conversation.
that was the main part of the story. I mean,
Well, it's just that's anti-Semitism though, right? Like, and that's like in a silent sort of
what it is actually. I mean, maybe so, but to me, it's just exactly like what we're doing in our history books with, not talking about slavery as what it was,
which is a form of racism.
which
I
is
mean, that we're doing
it
it,
It is. It's a form of racism. Yeah, and it's like
Well, and it's an interesting point that you actually can sort of change the perception of reality through the educational system by mucking with the historical record
Right.
that is represented in textbooks. And I think that was the case when I was in school. I mean, I know that because I've read books since then that tell me that a lot that I was taught back then was incomplete or incorrect.
I mean, I'm still encountering that. I mean, that's actually one of the reasons why I have my YouTube channel. Is I spend most of my time on my YouTube channel just filling in the omissions and then correcting the errors, because everything we were taught was wrong.
right.
If we were taught it
didn't
at
have
all, I like to
wooden
say in Texas, if we were taught it at all, because Texas.
Right. Because one of the things that they've learned to master is how to omit things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And so, like George Washington didn't have wooden teeth. That's not a thing. It
right.
wouldn't work. Just take a popsicle stick and stick it in your mouth for a day and see what happens to the wood. Like, how would that work?
The Trail of Tears was actually not just a gathering of Indians walking to a new reservation.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Yeah, we've decided that none of our we don't want to teach history that's negative, right?
Right.
This
So
made
I
me
want to get
think
back
of
to
the
John's
Far Side.
question, though, because I think this is like a critically important question that we need to be talking about right now, which is the rise of anti-Semitism and the rise of anti-Muslim hatred in the United States. And you're right, like the recent events have flared this right back up. So for years, I've been having this conversation, and I've always felt that there was sort of this latent sort of passive-aggressive anti-Semitism under the surface. And then we mask it with all this,
goodwill.
This pretending to have goodwill that isn't there. And one of the things that was interesting about Trump, he announced that he was running for president, and there was an immediate spike in the number of anti-Semitic attacks. There was an immediate spike in the number of Islamophobic attacks. And then as he kept going, right, we started to see attacks on Hispanics, on the African-American community. And then midway through his presidency, all of a sudden there was this crazy spike in attacks on Asian Americans.
Mm-hmm.
All that racism, I think, was always there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Trump, this was already said, I forget who said it, but Trump sort of gave permission for it, to the point where the Charlottesville event, right? Those guys with the tiki sticks, you will not replace us. And as they kept chanting, it turned into Jews will not replace us. And then we had situations where, like, there was that cemetery, I think it was in Missouri, where the Jewish cemetery was ransacked, and everybody kept begging Trump to denounce this, and he refused to denounce it. And the first group of people to offer assistance to that Jewish community was the local mosque. It was actually a Muslim
I remember
community
that.
that jumped in. And I think it was obvious that the mosque would do this, because I think that anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim hatred are totally intimately intertwined, that they're not separable. Because when you look at the history of Christianity's relationship to Islam and Christianity's relationship to Judaism, in Spain, the goal of the Christian-ruled North was not only to conquer the Muslim-ruled South, it was also to exterminate the Muslim and Jewish populations in the South. At least expel them, if not outright just get rid of them. And I think that conversation has always sort of latently been there. And then the recent events, the FBI is reporting this crazy spike in anti-Semitic and anti-Muslim attacks. And I think what the United States would need to do some soul searching, like why the events that are happening aren't happening here. You're not threatened. So why are you reacting in this really ugly, violent way towards this two groups that are actually suffering right now?
In the way of what I would call shadow work, the United States has so much shadow work that they need to do that it's just beyond, in terms of what we refuse to see, and just refuse to look at, and just say, no, we're just not gonna. And to your point, it just keeps resurging harder. Each time it comes up harder and stronger, I think.
I don't think you can really, I don't think you can take on something like that in your brain and think of it as a shadow self, as a country, because we have so many people who have no idea who they are.
It's just the ancestry. It's just like the energy of it. It's just everybody gets repressed with it, and it just keeps getting pushed down to each generation, without being addressed.
Well,
it's
why
gonna
is this to the forefront? Do you think it's because they are polling people who would vote for him, or do you think they're actually polling all Americans and people are saying, oh yeah, no, Trump's great, he should be number one?
I think polls are really difficult right now. I mean, I think it's really hard to get a good sample. So they're increasingly unbelievable. I mean, it used to be that everybody was in the phone book and you'd call a house and you would kind of you could randomize pretty well and you could get a good cross section of the populace. But now, people have their smart devices and their numbers are unlisted, and it's kind of hard to figure out how to reach people. And I'm sure it's hard to get an accurately weighted cross section.
Yeah, I think that's accurate, and so it has made polls less accurate, but they're not completely inaccurate. In other words, we can still get some data out of it. It's just we need to be a little bit careful and suspect, because another thing that we've discovered is that people will lie to pollsters because they think they're manipulating the results. And for the record, people have lied to pollsters since we started doing polls. The 1972 National Election Survey that was done after the election, a substantial portion of the population lied about voting for Nixon that wanted to vote for Nixon. Not the other way around. You would think like, oh, after Watergate or something, people would lie and say, no, I didn't vote for Nixon. It was the other way around. More people said they voted for Nixon than statistically had. And
interesting.
Yeah, and so political scientists were baffled because, the Watergate hadn't really broken out by the time this poll was done. So what they think was going on is those people had planned to vote for the winner and they had guessed wrong. And they had voted for McGovern instead of for Nixon. So when they were asked in the poll, how'd you vote? They said they voted for Nixon because in their mind they went, oh, had I known Nixon was going to win, I would have voted for him.
Sure.
That's interesting.
Yes, that makes sense. I mean, it really does. Once again, you don't want to be wrong. This is this huge issue that
I want to be a winner.
It's a human, like the human condition. We just always have to be. It's our egos. It's just insanity.
But then that makes polls even scarier, because if somebody's ahead going into an election, people are inclined to vote for the guy who's ahead because they want to vote for the winner. And so it becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy instead of letting people figure out what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. Wow.
Well, the cool thing about our last election is that we had two winners.
You
They
mean
both
the
said that. They
2020?
both
Isn't that
said
the
they won.
case with most of our
2020. Yeah.
elections?
Yeah, which was not a good thing to have happen.
I've
But
got this. Yeah,
it's not the first time, for the record.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few botched elections. In
Yeah,
our
we
history.
have.
Yeah.
I mean, in my lifetime, at least.
oh my God, so many.
I kind of get it though. I'm starting to understand better how that whole thing worked. I mean, Trump was sort of setting the scene for that. He kept complaining that the COVID driven changes in elections, especially the mail-in ballots, were in effect going to rig the election against
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
he just ran
President
with
would have
that,
won.
and he held on to that, and he's still holding on to it.
Yeah, I'm like, he's still running with that.
Well, and he may actually
Yeah.
believe that the election was rigged. I don't know, but
And-
it seems pretty obvious that it wasn't by now. You know,
He knows it's not.
And he may have cost himself Georgia in the process. There were two studies after the 2020 election that looked at the effects of what he was saying. And one of the studies focused on the effects of COVID, and it concluded enough Republicans had died of COVID because
Wow.
Trump kept saying it was a conspiracy that that was enough to have flipped the Georgia results, and not just
Oh my
flipped it
God.
like, for Biden, but to make both senators Democrats. And then the other study looked at what was happening in terms of skepticism of the election results. And it turned out a lot of Republicans stayed home and didn't vote because they were so convinced the election was going to be rigged. And then to make things worse, traditionally it was older voters who tended to do mail-in ballots, and older voters tended to be more conservative. So by trashing the mail-in ballots, Trump discouraged some of the conservatives who were going to do mail-in ballots from casting their votes.
It's so ridiculous. And he's saying now, he just said the other day, don't worry about voting. We've got the votes. Don't worry about voting. What?
I don't know how he thinks this
Wow.
works.
He literally said
Yeah.
those words. He said, we've got the votes. Psh.
Well, I mean, it didn't
He also
work, you
thought
know.
he was in Sioux Falls and he was in Sioux City or something.
well, he
I
could
know,
be saying that
it's-
they're just
it's
going to
my
take the
husband's
election no
hometown.
matter what.
I mean, that's what he said last time. How many times did a journalist say, if you lose, will you respect the results? And he would say, I will only accept the results if I win. You're like,
All right. That's
okay,
right.
it's clear he's not going to accept
There
the
you
losing.
go.
He didn't expect, apparently when he beat Obama. What? That's another thing he said.
He said he beat Obama?
He-
Yeah,
Wow,
he
I
had a
missed
pretty
that
bad
one.
night recently.
Dude, he has lost his mind. You keep coming at Biden with that shit. He thought,
Well,
no.
I mean, that's kind of the problem. The guy is obviously kind of bonkers right now. Yet he's immensely
now?
popular because, you know, they still think he's the boss from The Apprentice. And then on the other hand, we've got Biden who because he actually looks kind of old and he has a speech defect,
Yeah.
you know, it undermines his credibility. Neither one of those guys is very popular, and nobody wants either one of them to run. Well, I say nobody. Obviously, there's a
So-
bunch of people who want each one to
I
run.
just had like a gestalt moment of realization though. If Biden had sat down with Trump and just said, "You're fired," okay, like maybe that's
No.
Yeah.
maybe that's what he needed. It's like that's his language. I'm
Well, I
sorry.
also
Go on.
missed this
No,
one.
I agree. We don't have
I
good
just looked
choices.
it
We don't
up.
have good choices.
Well, somebody's primarying Biden is what I heard. Did
Yeah,
you hear?
there's somebody who's going to do that.
And they were
um,
endorsed by someone important. But now I can't remember who it was. But it
I
was
know
like
Bobby Kennedy Jr. is going to run.
not him, not him.
Not
This is
him.
someone who's primarying Biden because he's running as an independent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, he says he's going to run as an independent. Who knows whether he'll ever, you
He
know.
needs to run to the insane.
You know who
asylum.
I want? Ronald Reagan Jr.
Oh
I
God!
like him.
Ron Jr. would be great.
He would be
Awesome.
amazing.
Oh
But
my God!
Bobby Kennedy Jr. can't stand him.
He's
This
not
is
wrong.
evidence that we're in the upside down. Just
Yeah, not the
clear.
well, you know, things you always rebel against your parents, right? So everything skips a generation.
Is that what happened? Oh man, does that mean my kids are gonna suck?
Don't name them after you.
Either that or you did. It does. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't name them after me. Okay.
Because they might have been a loser. Ah,
Okay, apparently I didn't realize this, but I just looked it up. Donald Trump did warn in September of the possibility of World War II breaking out.
see,
Yep,
he's
it
so
could happen.
It could. It could, because it has once already. Why not again?
Yeah, there you are.
He's not right, and nobody on Fox is saying anything about that, but they sure are going
They
all out.
should pick on Biden.
And this 200 and what is it? 215 pounds he weighs. What?
Yeah.
What?
By the way, I'm now 212. Just
Oh, I mean, come on,
I've
man.
lost 18 pounds. I'm
Good
so
for
proud.
you. That's awesome. And but Trump is not.
He's just 3 pounds heavier than me.
You know, I don't think Trump is getting much support from Fox News.
No. Oh, and
Just
DJ.
saying.
Yes, he was like, I used to be on Fox News like 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times a week, and now I don't even get one call. They don't even call me. Nobody calls me.
Maybe it's because he hated on them so much.
I don't know, but he's on something. He's like constantly like he
Adderall?
spits when he talks, it's like it's something like that.
It's no, seriously. I mean, I'm sure he needs a lot of high maintenance in a lot of ways.
Kimberly Guilfoyle, boy. Mephistopheles has come
I'm
back.
sorry, but I can never ever. All I think is Kimberly Gargoyle forever and always. It's just
Ooh.
like.
What about Sarah Huckabee's podium gate? Huh?
I don't know what you're talking about. She's gonna have a
Okay.
date with a podium.
Sarah Sanders Huckabee spent $20,000 on a podium for herself.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Isn't that
That was
fun?
a nice podium. I mean,
Just
everybody
a
should have a
hat.
$20,000
Julie
podium.
It looked really nice, but
I need
then
to see a picture.
it's you won't believe it. It's
Just
not
to have, or like, does she go places with it?
no, I would hope that she could take it with her because it's really fucking expensive.
I mean, I thought maybe she should just put it on her front porch
On
and would just walk
podium,
out every
that's
morning and
how-
be like,
And talk to somebody.
Okay. Okay, here we go.
It's so sad.
"Oh
It's
no, we're
Summer.
gonna see it. Oh no."
I'm looking
It
for
needs
it.
to be
Oh.
jewel encrusted if it's 20K.
I mean, for real. I don't know if it has a screen in
Real
it.
gold.
I wanted to have like quartz crystal.
It looks very
Huh.
It looks like a
20K.
cross.
Hey.
mean,
boring.
actually, to me. It doesn't look like it would be
It's very
worth
Star Warsy, I
$20,000.
think.
No, you know what I think? I think if you
Or, I mean, Star Trek. My bad.
if you continued that base all the way up, like in that form, it would look like a cross.
Well, yeah, you're right about
And her
that.
head is like the top of the cross.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
I
She
think
probably
it
stands
probably
like
has
that.
it probably
In
has
her
a
blue
switch in
dress.
there that you can throw and blow up a reporter's chair or something like that.
Oh God.
Or maybe they fall through the floor and
She might get in a lot of trouble over this. I mean, I don't know, but I hope she does. I can't stand that woman.
well, I mean, the
She's
real
not my
problem
favorite.
with the GOP in general is that they're a bunch of grifters, and sooner or later, if you keep doing dishonest things, it catches up with you, right?
But I mean, George Santos and Donald Trump seem to disagree with you on that.
Well, eventually it's going to catch up with them, though.
I
I
mean,
mean,
Trump
they're
has
both
nine-
going down sooner
He
or
has
later.
91 felony indictments. I'm skeptical that he'll get convicted on any of them.
Really?
I agree with you, but I don't think he's having as much fun as he used to, and I feel pretty confident.
I'm
About-
hoping.
I'm
I mean,
pretty
he was
sure he's going to be
fined-
convicted somewhere on
He was
something.
fined 10K for breaking his gag order. He doesn't
Right.
know it's 10K.
Twice. He doesn't have
Twice.
10K. That's
That's nothing to him. That's not even a fraction of a penny.
I don't think he has this money that everybody thinks he has.
He has negative $1 billion. He's not going to notice negative $20,000.
Got it. Sorry. Good call. An extra 20K. Yeah,
He's
I
like the
don't,
poorest human ever.
exactly. Like in
And he
every
conned
possible
everybody
way.
into thinking he was a billionaire. They didn't know he meant negative billion.
If you had to say who he reminds you of anyone in history, in the past, any dictator, president, king, who would you say, Roy?
I mean, the thing that popped into my head immediately without any thinking was Benito Mussolini. He's
Yeah.
sort of a buffoonish, just sort of talks, doesn't necessarily know what he's saying. And you're like, oh my God, this guy he's not the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
But I'd have to think about it a little bit more because it might be a more complicated answer, actually.
I was.
Well, Trump reminds me of there were a couple of guys I knew in my youth who were bullies, basically just bullies, and he seems to be like that. He's kind of a bully, and the weird thing is that those guys did not gather a cult around him. I mean, people didn't like him because they were bullies.
Yeah, back in the day.
Why do so many people like this guy? I
Well,
don't really
with
get it.
Mussolini and Stalin and Lenin and all of those guys. I mean, it's a charisma. He clearly has a charisma and a charm that people can't seem to let go. It entraps them, and it makes them feel like they're the only person in the world. My grandfather was like that.
It's a good point. And we also know that Joe Biden lacks that. He does not have charisma. And as great as president as he might be, and he's been doing a lot of pretty good things, he didn't have charisma. And he is unable to boost his numbers. But his popularity numbers are not, I don't think they're worse than Trump's. If they are, they're not much worse.
No, they're not worse than Trump, but they're not much better than Trump. I think that's the shocking thing.
Well, so that's the weird thing here. We're in a country where we have two guys who are almost certainly going to run for president, and nobody likes either one of them.
Yeah, it's a popularity contest like 2016 was.
Oh my
2020
God.
wasn't quite an unpopularity contest because I think we liked Biden a lot more than we do right now.
So do you think Nikki Haley's going to get traction? She seems to be getting a boost.
So for the record, I used to be really good at predicting election outcomes. Like I knew that John Kerry was going to be the nominee in 2004 for the Democratic Party. Like that, I could call those. I have lost my ability to do that to a degree because politics in the United States have become so unpredictable and chaotic, and we're so divided as a country. Like we can't stand to be around each other. We don't want to talk to each other. We keep censoring each other. So I don't know if I can make a prediction. So what I can do is I can tell you this. I can say what has been trending in the recent past, and this is this. Usually the Republican Party finds itself in love with a candidate. That candidate goes up in the polls and then crashes. And then there's a new flavor for the month or the 2-week period, and then they crash. And that'll keep happening. With Trump in 2016, when the Republicans really were trying to not lose to him, they went through this cycle of one popular candidate after the other, and Trump just stayed flat at the top. Like he was completely unfazed by whatever the flavor of the month was. And, they would come and they would go.
He had fun with it.
Yeah. Prior to Trump, like in 2012, what Mitt Romney did was he just sort of hid in the background, waited for the flavors of the month to pass by, and then in the last minute kind of stepped forward and got the nominee. And it was obvious that was his tactic, and it was brilliant. I think Trump can completely ignore the other candidates. I don't see how they're going to unseat him. I think he's
already is. He's not showing up to the debate.
Why would you? He'll just look like an idiot.
He can only hurt himself.
Goes to the debates. He
can
only
do him any favors.
But I wouldn't. If I were him, I wouldn't show up to a single debate.
I wonder if he will debate Biden.
If he will look like a coward if he doesn't debate Biden.
Exactly.
That's a different thing. Because his followers will vote for him no matter what. But the moderates in the middle, they could go either way.
Yeah. They still want to see a fight. Like his followers.
They still want to see the fight, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Do you remember?
Maybe they'll cage match him.
The debate between Hillary and Donald, and kept getting up and like walking behind her.
And he would like hover behind her.
like a
Yeah.
fucking
Really
So
stalking
creepy.
her.
somebody put, and then she would get up and she would talk and be walking, but he would never sit back down. Somebody like edited that and put on I Had the Time of My Life, where she would go "Life, had the time of my life," and then she's all like, "I owe it all to you." It's hilarious. It's so much fun. But it was not funny at the time. I remember thinking, God, he's like a shark. What is the
It was
deal?
so weird. He was like a shark. He was like in the background, like
He was a predator. Yes, he was like a shark, and he was moving like that
was.
with his dead eyes and his little hands.
This big fin. No, I'm sorry.
So I decided to jump on to 538 and look at the most recent polls.
Mhm.
Don't do this if you're a happy person and you don't want to lose
Don't
your
worry about it. That's not me.
yeah. Trump is ahead. Let's see. In the last few polls, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like he's ahead about half the time. In the latest poll, he was ahead by 6 percentage points. So I don't
Ouch.
see an average on the 538 site, which is weird because usually they have it. I'm probably in the wrong place.
Wait,
But
is this Trump versus other Republicans or Trump versus Biden?
it's a Trump versus Biden. So
Ah.
it looks, just eyeballing it, that it's pretty dead even. And I did see a poll about 2 weeks ago. I saw the average about 2 weeks ago. It was 43% for both candidates. So it's probably about dead even right now.
Well, there are, they talk about Biden's low popularity and all that. I think that what bothers people about Biden is his age. And I think one of the reasons that people are not speaking up for Biden is because they don't want him to run again. And they're trying to figure out, how can we have him not run again? Well, I'm just going to say, if ultimately he does run again, they may vote for him anyway, even though they've been bad mouthing him, and they're not necessarily very supportive of him. But
I think we need to look at the vice presidential candidates, quite honestly. Who are these old dudes choosing?
Well, we don't know who Trump's going to choose. It'll probably be a woman.
It'd probably be Nikki Haley.
It might be Nikki Haley, yeah.
I bet it's not. I don't think they like each other very much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think they actually get along very well. Well, she didn't go along with the. I mean, she said
Big Cherry Lake
Biden
probably
won. So
Yeah,
because Lake would be loyal to Trump, right?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
if Trump approaches her and says you want to be VP, you know she will sell her soul to be VP.
Oh,
no, I agree. I agree with that. I do. I just don't know if he'll approach her. She's kind of a strong, vocal woman, and I don't know if he likes that.
No, he definitely doesn't like that.
but imagine getting to control her. Wouldn't that be fun? Especially if
Yeah.
she does say some shit about
I mean, that was what was brilliant about Mike Pence, right? He was.
I bet
he
he'll
was-
have Melania be VP. I bet he'll
Oh, that
really
would
run
be a
for
good
Melania.
idea, yeah. Or he could have Jared be.
And then
VP.
Ivanka could take her rightful place as first lady.
Maybe Ivanka would be the VP.
Oh God,
Ivanka would be an amazing VP.
she's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
She
some
already
great deals
wasn't.
with
I'm
China.
sorry. Didn't she already do that role? I missed
She's
that.
changed her name. I think that's hilarious. Oh, do you guys think she'll actually testify?
Ivanka?
Yeah, she'll have to.
Well,
Well,
she's
she's fighting it.
fighting it
I
still.
mean, it's in
She's
appeal
supposed
right
to-
now. So
Yeah.
She's not his spouse.
Yep.
well, I mean,
But-
legally.
Yeah,
Oh my
No,
God.
not really sure what they are.
And then the corporate mystic strikes.
I mean, I guess we could take a few minutes here and kind of speculate on what the country will be like if Trump does win.
Oh, it's so dark. I can't
We're
see.
already in so much trouble. We're already like falling apart. Another 4 years of Trump would be a catastrophe.
Do you think
Yeah.
that a national divorce like Marjorie Three Names says?
I mean, what would that look like? And then would it just be the states that voted for Biden go one way and the states that voted for Trump go the other way? And then where does Texas fall on that? I mean,
Oh, I've been watching the shit that Abbott's been doing, and I really think that, they're kind of secession minded.
Yeah.
I mean, concertina wire
Very
on
much.
the New Mexico border.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because you might go get an abortion. You have to pee on this stick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or a
No,
joint.
no,
I'm
he's
sorry.
doing it for the safety of immigrants.
Right. I do
Because
want to know about
nothing
that
makes them
though.
safer than getting entangled in razor wire.
That's so true. What about this? What do you guys think about this whole enforcement of the bounty hunters on women and getting abortions and using certain roads? Like Lubbock County just shut down their roads to anyone trying to traffic in abortions, whatever the fuck that means.
There's good money in
Well, but
abortion.
There's a lot of
uh,
traffic and I'm on my way to abortion. I mean, I don't know.
I'm wondering
The
how they
baby
verify
train.
that. I mean,
Exactly. What
if
are
you're so if
Yeah.
you're driving down the road, there's a checkpoint, and you get out and,
pee on a
and
stick?
just show that you're not pregnant. Well, I guess you have to pee on a stick. Yeah, that
I mean,
would be
how
it.
else are they going to tell? They're going to take blood? I mean, what is, and do they just,
Or
they're not going to
there's
take,
a
don't they have a
chance
man?
maybe it's just performative. Maybe this is just something they're doing
You
to
know
make a
what?
show
They're
of it.
offering $10,000 per person that you turn in. So by deputizing crazy motherfuckers who already hate women, and who need some money, and who maybe just hate that woman who was mean to him, and he's just going to get her harassed and swatted or whatever because he's going to say that it did it and that she did it, and she may not even be pregnant. I mean, it's just so, you are telling citizens that they can go get other citizens and take them to jail for money. That's not America. That's fascism.
I mean, and it's at a time when global warming has made itself so evident in front of everybody, and we still haven't done anything about it. And so,
Yeah.
I think this is the modus operandi of the United States, right? There are serious issues that we're facing. So let's ignore them by going after drag queens. Let's ignore them by going after trans teenagers. Let's ignore them by going after women who might want an abortion, and focus all our anger, rage, and fury on this population of people that literally never harmed anybody, while in the meantime, white males go on rampages, shooting up malls and schools. And then, like in the meantime, we're targeting people in airports because they're brown. And you're like, really, the real problem is people like me. I'm the real problem. Like, you need to stop us from traveling. You definitely need to stop us from getting assault rifles.
Well, thank you. And what about that kid in Maine? My God, that reminded me of the Pulse kid. It's like the cops knew, the FBI knew, the National Guard knew, everyone knew about this guy. Same way at Pulse, everyone knew.
Right.
And the father called and to the FBI and said, "My kid is going to kill some people. I mean, I know this is going to happen." And 2 days later, and then this guy too. I guess his parents. Does anybody know anything about his parents? Did they say he was crazy?
I don't know if it
so.
was his parents, but there were reports about his
National
state of mind.
Guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
The military said he was crazy. And how did he get that gun? Those guns.
Guns
Well,
are easy to get. We live in America.
yeah, anybody can get a gun.
Gun show loophole.
Yeah, anybody can get a gun.
20% of all the firearms purchased in the United States.
Everybody already has them. What do you mean
in a
how to
gun
get
show.
one? He probably already had 5. I mean,
It's really weird to me that people think that by giving a kid a book about 2 gay parents might make them gay, but giving them a gun
we'll
Doesn't
make them shoot people.
I don't understand
Hey,
it.
remember, you're a good guy with a gun until you're a bad guy with a gun.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it is kind of
Break line.
problematic. You obviously, people should have a right to have a gun. So the question is, where do you draw the line, and who should and who shouldn't have a gun, and that sort of thing. And there should be policy around this, right? The real problem we have is that nobody is even entertaining the idea of creating some kind of policy,
No, we're not allowed
they
to have,
just
like
don't
many
wanna touch it.
conversations. It's one we're not allowed to have. And the answer is pretty simple. Many people have said it. We can treat guns just the same way we treat other potentially deadly things that are controlled by humans, like say cars, and we can license and register those things and just put some ownership accountability, or require gun owners insurance, require liability level, and just some basic fundamental things that become a little bit of a deterrent to just the general, like, everybody having guns, because some people are simply not going to want to pay fees to insure their weapons and to do those types of things, and they'll make those choices on their own.
And so then we'll have people, but the problem is the guns will still be out there, right? So then, because they're still, so it would have to be even enforced further by saying, when we catch these people doing something and we realize they have all of these guns, you have to charge them with them, and you have to and that's the thing I think that you get plea deal down to. You're like, oh, we'll let the gun charge go if you plea to this or whatever. So I don't
agree. The accountability has to be in place. I mean, without accountability.
We also have another option, which is we could just read the Constitution and see what it says about guns. And then at that point, all of a sudden, the only people who would have the right to have a gun would be members of a state militia.
Yeah,
the Constitution is very clear that it is not for hunting or protecting your home.
I'm super comfortable with the Second Amendment the way it stands. I don't have to even try to interpret it in fancy ways. I agree with you entirely.
Yeah.
But I also recognize the culture that we've created, which is, it's kind of like when I was working with vegans and vegetarians, and of which I'm neither, but trying to explain to really angry vegans that if I want to get a guy who eats a triple cheeseburger with bacon every single day to just move forward a little bit, I still got to let this guy have cheese. Okay. Like, I might be able to get rid of the, bacon and the burger, but he still needs cheese. And, it's like progress, not perfection. And I do think that gun buybacks and things like that are actually somewhat successful. Like, they've done a few of them where they've, had a fair amount of success. They just won't do enough of it. Australia did that massively, as we all know, and it was
all their guns.
It was they did it in totality, but they've done some, local gun buybacks in various places, and they've had like pretty decent turnout, and so
Australia has a single shooting. The country reacts by taking away everybody's guns. Everybody voluntarily does it. New Zealand still has guns. A group of crazy Australians go to New Zealand, buy guns, go into a mosque, shoot the place up. New Zealand goes, that's it, we're done. They delete their guns. That's what a country of human beings does in reaction to that kind of violence.
Agreed.
And here we are. We did Newtown.
We are a country.
Newtown, we will never be moved.
I'm going to go back to our country shadow. Our shadow is violence. We have been violent since day one. We came here violent.
We stole this country with violence.
We stole this country with violence. So that shadow of violence, it exists and continues generationally into everything that we do. And guns are just simply an extension of that. We are a violent society. We're hyper conditioned.
You can't get rid of your shadow. You can
reveal it.
You guys don't seem all that violent to me.
You could delete a shadow. If you had a light coming from every single direction.
Sure, enough light would eliminate shadow.
Which one of you is the most violent?
Out of who?
You three.
Oh.
I mean, you're talking about how violent we all are, and I just didn't think, I don't see you guys as being that violent.
Well, who here has killed a living creature?
Like an insect?
Well, like an insect? Sure.
No,
I mean,
like a non-insect animal.
Non-insect animal, non-insect, like a mammal or a bird or something,
right.
Living.
Oh, I have a story about that. When I was, I don't know how old I was. I was like 8, early elementary. I was probably around 8. I shot this bird with a BB gun, and I was devastated at what I had done.
I was too. I cried.
And they would never take me hunting after that.
Me either.
I was
that
like
was my last
the
hunting
weird
trip too.
kid who couldn't bring himself to kill something, who got upset.
My dad wanted me to pick all the feathers off the bird, and I was like trying to be real neat and pick all the little tiny feathers off the neck. Yeah, that's a sad story that we don't
Dude,
want to
that's a
finish.
French
But-
that's a French song that I was sung
Yep.
to.
Gentil Alouette, Gentil
Yeah.
Alouette.
Alouette, gentil
Alouette,
alouette,
gentil
alouette,
alouette.
What a
gentil
sick
alouette.
song, man.
Yeah.
It's the only French song I know. Oh no,
It
I
is
actually know
horrible. You should learn the Marseillaise.
Oh, the Marseillaise is the best.
Oh my
Talking about
God.
violent
You're talking
song.
about violence. Jesus. Oh, how can that be your
Best
national?
national anthem ever.
It's not a happy, prideful song.
We're gonna slaughter people.
And they
And then everybody gets mad because the Germans sing about surviving everything.
right. Well, okay, how about Ukraine? Just real quick before we're done. Is there any way we when I just heard that what's his name, Mike Johnson is tying aid to Israel to aid to tax cuts to the wealthy. And the
No, what he's doing is they passed a bill that they would give aid to Israel, but only if we
Defund the IRS.
defund the IRS. Yeah,
which
basically.
is tax. Okay, yeah.
Take the money away from the IRS so that
You can cheat.
they will not. Yeah.
But
So you
even
can tax
though,
it.
and that's bullshit, because if you tax the rich, then the inflation goes down. It's not. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but the rich
that
don't want to be
happens to be a
taxed.
gap fact. A general accounting practices that Don Jr. did not know from Wharton Economics 101 class today.
See, the thing here is that the rich don't want to pay taxes.
Oh,
Right, because
That's
think
really
about
fundamental.
the quality of life difference. If you had $50 million or $500 million, like you could obviously live a much better life.
yeah,
Because right, you could go from having everything you need at
to having
$50 million
two of everything
and
you
things
need.
you don't need to having even more things you don't need. In fact, you won't spend it, so it'll just be sitting in a bank account.
You
And then
know, if you buy all those extra Cheetos, you're not going to eat them.
I guess because
Yeah, but you can't make those like Cheeto balls by getting all that Cheeto dust and rolling it up on your finger.
and then smearing it on your face.
Yes,
It's like the
and then you
best.
And then you look like Donald Trump.
You know he's getting in a bag Cheetos.
So the Ukraine thing is fascinating to me because the whole reason why Kevin McCarthy went down in a ball of flames was because he made a deal to get us a temporary budget deal so
Yep.
that we didn't go bankrupt. Well, that's coming back up again because it was just a temporary deal. It was
Yeah.
it 3 weeks it expires? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So now
It's infinite.
Johnson's going to do this. He'll make a deal and then he'll get fired.
Oh, you think so?
I mean, why not? That's why Kevin McCarthy got fired. So it seems to me like this is just going to
Kind of a
think-
hapless position.
think-
Like there's
I think that this was just a pure power play by Matt Gaetz. He wanted to fuck with McCarthy. He did it. And now he doesn't give a shit who's speaker.
Oh, wait. You think it was Matt Gaetz, but actually it was the Democrats.
I mean,
Oh.
the Democrats could have saved McCarthy,
could
that's for
have,
sure, but
yeah.
they're not the one that pulled the plug.
No.
Well,
no.
they're the ones who got the blame.
Yeah, because that's America, right? We never
Yeah.
blame the people who actually did it.
No,
Oh man,
what a
yeah.
circus.
Back to what we were saying earlier about the his conviction. I don't know if he's going to get convicted. I mean, he's bound to get convicted on one count of something somewhere, right?
Okay, let's take a number. I'm going with 3.
I'm
pick
going
3.
with 0.
He's
He's a rich white male. 0.
I still pick 3. They're gonna be like 3 really lame bullshit things that won't probably make me angrier than if it were 0. It'll
I
be like
want it to be like 91 though. Just so
yeah,
Yeah.
I do too.
Well,
Yeah,
pretty
I
much however it goes
I actually
is
would like
probably
him to
going
come
to
up
be a
with another
surprise.
114 charges.
it'll be a surprise.
It'll
John's
be-
right.
But what I mean, somebody was talking about this the other day. This isn't like originally with me, but they're making the point that if he is actually convicted, they're not going to send him to a prison.
Yeah,
They're going to put him under house arrest or something.
exactly.
No,
He'll
he's
wear
gonna-
a thing around his
He'll
ankle.
live in his gold prison with his
He'll
gold
serve
crown.
his sentence at Mar-a-Lago.
And then,
I
when he gets
want-
elected, he'll just serve his presidency where he served it last time in Mar-a-Lago.
Right on.
Exactly, on the golf course. Yeah,
Hey, we have run out of time,
Wow.
but
it's been
That was
fun.
awesome.
I'm going to shut this down, but don't go anywhere. Wait a minute. And goodbye to everybody else who's been listening in.
And I'm so
And-
sorry.
Oh,